What's up, YouTube? So, I'm coming at you from Colorado, sort of the front porch. And so I've been seeing these addiction channels, and there's something I get out of them. Whether it's just entertainment, I'm not sure, to be honest. Sometimes they trigger me, but I feel like in the end, it's a good sort of recovery tool. I went to rehab and they made us go to the AA meetings and the NA meetings, and it wasn't for me, but I got a lot out of it. And I did work the steps, and I mean, I didn't apologize to everyone because I didn't need to dig up old dirt and bum people out when they didn't need to be, but there was something about the testimonies when people would give testimonies that I found interesting. And then, like I said, I found them on YouTube. And I've just been thinking, I think I should do a channel on this subject. The rehab I went to, Aerosmith had gone to it, and all the counselors agreed. They said, we've been here 20 years, 20,000 people, and you were like the fourth worst person that came through here, right? And I'll get into that. But fourth worst, and I'm 7 years out, 98% clean, super clean now, and so I feel like I'm pretty darn qualified to talk about the subject and to interview other people on this subject and give YouTube and people like me some entertainment with a sort of recovery bend to it. So I'm going to start with me, right? To explain. Those are my eyes, by the way. My name is Jerry, as they say in the rooms. Anyhow, so I'm going to start, I'll start like in a regular testimony and start how I grew up, okay? I was the youngest of 8, so that's kind of a problem there already. When I meet people in big families, I say, so tell me about the youngest. Tell me how wacky the youngest is. And they're always like, oh, man. So there's that. And I had a classic sort of addiction story of my childhood. Not a lot of love or holding. And so I didn't get the connection. And then my father was just really, really brutal, terrorized me. Truly thought that I could possibly die in the house. So not really being hugged, and not really, and my older brothers and sisters had all moved out, and he was really bad, but he used to sort of spread it around, and I was kind of the opposite of him. So it just expounded. It got worse and worse and worse. And so lack of connection, trauma, check. I was checking the boxes there. And so, having a couple older brothers that listened to all the Beatles and all the Cheech and Chong, and there I am, 10, 11 years old, and there are all that Beatles albums and all the Cheech and Chong albums and all that stuff, and all the books on meditation, all the Eastern philosophy, and I just wanted to escape, right? So when you find yourself when you're a kid and you're listening to Beatles albums, and you find yourself identifying with John Lennon, it's not good. And then you identify with George Harrison, and it actually gets worse, even though he was the best, and I still love him. I love them all, but I found that the people who just like Paul McCartney and the silly love songs, they're kind of fine, right? That's kind of normal, everyday love. They get that. They're not identifying with sort of the angry John Lennon, disconnected vibe. So anyhow, it sort of opened me up to that whole world. And I remember being fascinated with drugs in grade school. I was in 7th grade, and I would read all the books in the library, and I was anti-drugs. I saw this guy overdose at a high school basketball game that I went to with my family, and I was just like, oh, that's so bad. Drugs are so bad. And I'd be reading about them in the library, just like, oh, it would show this guy tripping on acid, like laying in the bed. And I was like, and I remember just being like, that's so bad, but also being, fascinated with it. And which, goes to show, like, my subconscious knew that could help me. Because, it did help. And in its way, it did help. And so, like a classic addict, I had friends, groups of friends, a group of friends. In the summer, we'd go to the shore, and didn't have like a lot of money, but country club and beach house. But later on in life, when I was younger, they didn't. My older brothers and sisters didn't. But that's, I guess, part of the story. But so I had a group of friends there, and friends. But to me, I would see him. I have a cold. I'd see him, and clearly it was like they're all a lot closer together, and I'm like on the outside. It just never felt connected, never connected to anyone or anything, like, and that's the thing, addicts know, and this is becoming understood in addiction science and research, is that we're not, in the beginning, we weren't trying to escape. We were trying to connect, to get into life. And every addict in all the rooms and all the testimonies heard the same story. The first hit of pot, first drink, whatever clicks there, the first thing, boom, they felt their mind slow down, they felt connected. That's another thing, is your mind's like racing, and you're just thinking so much, and you're disconnected and thinking, and you do that your first time, your mind slows down, you connect, and that's all connected. And then suddenly, you're just like calm. And when you're younger and you're frenetic like that, that's why not only are you feeling disconnected, but your friends are fucking like scared of you, because you're just frenetic and goofy. You're probably the kid either getting in trouble a lot in school, or the one like quiet in the corner, but you're not just normal. You're not just normal. Okay? But you want to be normal. So, with me, it was smoking pot. Like, I didn't drink until college, and we just went down to the shore, 8th grade year, and this kind of girlfriend, her older sister was dating this guy, John, who was like, he was pretty cool. He was a pretty cool dude, right? And he had a hefty bag of weed for the summer. And we would just get up in the morning, and I had tried pot twice in 8th grade, spring, and I didn't feel much, right? It takes a couple times. And so it was that summer before high school, and he had the hefty bag. And so we would wake up in the morning and fill a Dixie cup with that weed and smoke all day. And it wasn't really that good a pot, but that's when we would get it wasn't life-changing for me at that point. It wasn't life-changing yet. I didn't act that click. I was still felt, a little distant and whatever, but that comes a little later, I guess, with the stronger weed, and then there was another factor involved. But so I went back to school that fall, right? And I got home, I was like, oh, hey, this is weird. I have a 1/4 ounce a week, pot habit. How'd that happen? Just because of the Dixie cups, right? But then the pot was good, okay? The pot I was getting back in my hometown was really good. So it was different. And then this all happened boom, 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 right then in that fall. And a dude a year older than me at school, my buddy, just really high one day, and he puts the headphones on me. He's like, check this out. And it was Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, Till the Morning Comes. And I don't know what it is with the Grateful Dead. I'm still trying to process it, but it just clicked. And everything just went color. The whole world just went in color. And his voice just spoke to me just like that was like home and like Technicolor world. And I just woke up and I was like, oh, life is nice. Life is beautiful. Like, look at these look at this grass. Like, honestly, I was like seeing the grass and trees for the first time. Jerry Garcia is powerful. I'm not the only one, right? I mean, I work up in a mountain, ski mountain, and there's Grateful Dead skis, Grateful Dead goggles, gloves, all these bands, the whole movement. Like, he started that. Yes, he started it in Tavistock and the CIA and all that. That's a whole other story. Maybe I'll get into that someday. But anyhow, so that happened. And then I was starting to read then all those books on mysticism and meditation, and everything started making sense that I had been reading for years at that point. But I was like, meditation, escape, Hinduism. I was searching all the religions and reading all the different books, just really searching, right? Because addicts, we're not happy with the world. And you're trying to find the truth. Like, because even though we're not happy with the world and other people are, doesn't mean the world's a good place and the way it's being run and everything is a good place. It just tends to be that the unhappy people research that stuff and tend to find out things that are a little bit uncomfortable for regular people. All right, so it's fall, high school, and I am now reading books by Ram Dass and Timothy Leary, and I'm studying religions, and I'm digging the reincarnation, but I'm thinking, I don't have 60 lives, 1,000 lifetimes. I want out of this matrix like now, right? And so that got me to studying shamanism and Toltecs, because they're using psychedelics, ayahuasca, but DMT, LSD, psilocybin, doesn't matter, psychedelics, mescaline, it will take you to those realms. From what I understand, we got left brain, right brain, and we've got all that nirvana, sort of the void. It's pure rational, that's sort of a left brain experience. And then the right brain, spirit. In all these different religious systems, they split the soul, our being, in two sections. They split it into, like the Egyptians called it the Ba and the Ka. And Christians call it soul and spirit. And so your soul is that thing that technically it looks like it goes on forever and creates new personalities. And then the spirit, the ego, the right brain is what we get this lifetime. So anyhow, I was learning all that stuff, and I was like, I want to synthesize them. I want to get my spirit and soul together. And the Toltecs have the quickest way to do it through psychedelics. So I was reading all the Carlos Castaneda books, and even though he's probably fake, because that seems to be debunked, his information was real. And I was reading a lot of channelers, Seth Speaks, Jane Roberts, and learning the system, because I knew, like, if I wanted to do this system, like, I wasn't raised in that. I didn't have the belief system for it, and I needed to acquire that in order to do it successfully and not freak out, because I knew that this was going to be a powerful experience. So Be Here Now, Ram Dass, all the Leary books, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, all that stuff that pertained to altered states of consciousness and ascending that way, which I've come to realize probably a deception, but that's another story. So then I started, I was meditating because I wanted to learn how to, calm my mind and everything, because I wanted to be able to do this experience without flipping out, because I knew I was going to go for it, right? So I